Hello? Are we organized or what? Welcome. No tap dancing tonight. No. The adventure of life is to learn. The purpose of life is to grow. The nature of life is to change. The challenge of life is to overcome. The essence of life is to care. The opportunity of life is to serve. The secret of life is to dare. The spice of life is to befriend. The beauty of life is to give. I'm Ann Camps, and on behalf of the William J. Clinton Foundation, the National Archives, the University of Arkansas Clinton School of Public Service, the Clinton Museum Store, it is my honor to welcome each and every one of you to the Clinton Center Volunteer Recognition Ceremony in this, our 8th year. Tonight, as we have done for the past 7 years, we gather to say thank you to what I know to be the most excellent volunteer corps in all of Arkansas and maybe even the United States. I have no empirical evidence of that, but we have lots of testimony, lots of comment cards, lots of visitors who will attest to the effect that you have on their visit here each and every day that our doors are open. It seems to me that working here in the museum or in the store in the school is only part of what you do, and I want to let people know exactly what you've done this year. For the 2nd year in a row, you came in 2nd in the THV Summer Cereal Drive, and we missed 1st place in our division by 3 boxes. We raised over $2,000 for the Summer Cereal Drive. We also, by the money that you drop in that little jar in our office, we were able to give a Clinton School student a $200 gift card to help her as she started her year getting her master's degree at the school. Each of you, in your own unique and distinctive way, have blessed the Clinton Center with your invaluable expertise, your warm sense of humor, and your seemingly unending, unselfish, gracious giving of time and money. From November 1st, 2011 to October 31st, 2012, Clinton Center volunteers have contributed 59,123.33 hours at a financial in-kind value of $1,288,297.37, raising your total contribution since the grand opening to $375,970.45 hours and a service contribution of $8,192,396.11. As always, I must do some individual thank yous. A huge thank you to those of you we work with each and every day, to Steve Samford and the wonderful Raven staff, to the security staff who takes care of us and who volunteers truly feel are part of our family, to Terry and Kurt and Kathleen. Your staff with Nara treats us with respect and never makes us feel like we're asking too much or bothering you or just not being very smart. To Debbie Schock, who I know is not here this evening, her staff is absolutely amazing. Chris, Stuart, Doug, Donnie, and George. Y'all are a joy to work with, and we thank you for everything you do. To Connie Fales, the staff at the museum store, for your continuing enthusiastic support and your 40% off for the volunteers every Christmas. To Dean Rutherford and the Clinton School and the staff and students for always welcoming our volunteers and supporting our efforts. To all of the Clinton Foundation staff for all of your work, and especially to the event staff and 42 for the marvelous job they do every day and the amazing job they've done here tonight to help us be in here this soon after Club de Madrid left. Every event we host for the volunteers is made easier by the work that 42 does. A warm thanks to Lena, who I know cannot hear me just now, but I want to thank her for being here, for her laughter, for her friendship, for her leadership. To Stephanie and Bruce, your leadership keeps us focused on our mission and mindful that we are every day representing the 42nd President of the United States. I have to call Megan and Tina up here now. I'm going to have to read this because I can't possibly remember everything that I need to say. Y'all are magnificent. Every day I am overwhelmed with your extraordinary personalities, especially your ability to overlook and forgive some of my very demanding requests. And I have to tell y'all, I have not been well for the last few months, and if it hadn't been for these two, you'd probably be having Kentucky Fried Chicken tonight. Megan, thank you for representing the center so well. And Tina, your brilliance in front of a computer is mind-boggling. Your name tags, all of your gifts tonight, almost everything was created in-house. And it's because of the work they've done. They have literally bruises on their fingers to prove it. You have beautiful smiles. You're a fabulous team. In my many years of work, I have never been as blessed to work with amazing people as I have these two. And so I just wanted to say thank you and let everybody tell you thank you. Yeah, you can go. But you have to come right back. Before we present our first awards, we want to recognize the top 15 volunteers who have the most hours. If you look at the overhead screen for names, they will be listed in alphabetical order. Joy Broach, George Campbell, Betty Cook, Bob G., Dennis Hackbart, John Joyce, John Lambie, Louis Leslie, Tony Maloney, Pat Oakes, Peggy Oakes, Patsy Pack, LaBethel Peters, Bill Pumphrey, and Fred Strebeck. And I just want to say one thing. Patsy Pack this year contributed over 2,000 hours. And because of Patsy, we have a living archives of this library for 8 years. Long after we've gone, people will be able to look at the scrapbook she's created and know everything we did of any major significance and some not major significance since the day we opened. So, Patsy, I can't see you, but thank you. Oh, there you are. Okay. It's time for our first award. I'm using the same poetry I used last year. It happens in March every year, just like that. A birthday in Sustum with the cat in the hat. And our birthday party was really quite swell with cupcakes and books. Well, we could just tell that some special Seuss people with smiles on their faces stood tall and helped out in the hardest of places. To gratefully thank them for their fine storytelling, for their laughter and leading, and not too much yelling, for jobs quite well done, and for cheerful head pats, here's Megan and Tina to give their congrats, along with Kathleen. They're the coolest of cool cats. I know what they'll say. I just have a strong hunch. They'll say you were great, and thanks a great bunch.
Okay, what we got here? All right, okay. Tonight we have 8 awards to present. Somebody didn't change it, but okay. Of the hardest working cats during the birthday week. The awards go to Carol Burgett, John Joyce. Where's John? John's over here. Karen Merriman. Where's Karen?
Let me see her.
She's right over there. Okay.
Andy Schaus,
Andy.
Kay Stone,
Charlie Wagner. I can't see. Gillis Ward.
and Anita Wood.
Nice to get that. All right. That's you.
Oh. Thank you. George Bernard Shaw once said, "Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch which I have got hold for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it on to future generations." The Alice Stuff Light the Way Awards recognizes our outstanding special events volunteers. Alice Stuff, if you could come up to help us present this award. There she is. Here she is. She's over here. Hey, Miss Alice.
Tell me about this.
Want me to go ahead? Okay. And the award winners are Judy Raymer. She's right here. Darlene Clark, Sita Cobb, and Brenda McKeever.
Yeah, go ahead. Are they got names on them or just?
Sita. Okay. And here's Miss Brenda. Here you go. Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much. That took me by surprise.
Thank you.
It's hard to surprise me what that is.
Thank you very much, Miss Alice. Okay. Now I have a quote from The Right Stuff, a film from 1983. Poncho Barnes, what are you two rookies going to have? Gordon Cooper, rookies? Now hold on, sis. You are looking at a whole new ballgame here now. In fact, in a couple of years, I bet you're even going to immortalize us by putting our pictures up there on your wall. In 2012, we were blessed with 45 new volunteers. They rejuvenated us and often revived our sense of purpose. They are also a symbol of our continuing effort to keep it fresh, new, and exciting for our many daily visitors. It is a joy to say thank you and present Julie Hardy with our very first Rookie of the Year award.
Okay, I would like to ask Connie Fales, Dean Rutherford, either Kurt or Terry, and Bruce Lindsay to please come up here and help present our next awards. As y'all can tell, we have some new awards, but we wanted to make sure that we were able to recognize people who did not necessarily spend all of their time working in this building. So we have a new annual award. It's called the Clinton Presidential Center Silver Service Awards. Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape. We have created the Silver Service Award to recognize those volunteers who have given outstanding service beyond the museum. Each section of the Clinton Presidential Center has selected one volunteer, or maybe two, they believe has greatly contributed to their ongoing mission. Each volunteer has shown amazing commitment and dedication and, of course, flexibility. So, Connie?
I want to thank Ann first for making this possible. We really appreciate it. It's very hard to choose anyone, so I decided to start with the first day of the week. So my Monday volunteers, please come up, Ann Eady and Pat Eichler. They've been with us almost since we opened, or maybe since we did, and I wasn't awake then. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Guess who gave the seed?
All right, I'm going to be Debbie Schock. And so, recognizing the shuttle driver of the year, I want to ask Tony Maloney to come up and take his award. And I know that Mac Huffman is not here, but Mac gets our Master Gardener of the Year award. Okay, Skip.
Well, thank you, Ann, and what a great job Ann Camps does. You know, you just got to give her credit. We are so blessed at the Clinton School for the volunteers who give their time not only for our students, but for our programs. And I am so thankful, and on behalf of the students, faculty, and staff, let me thank everybody. But tonight we honor a very special volunteer, one who gives from her heart and her soul and makes everybody feel special. So it is my pleasure and honor to present the Clinton School Award to Jeannie McDaniel.
You want to do it?
Okay.
You want me to say something?
Okay, we have Kurt Sin to present our NARA award.
And our recipient goes to someone who does inventory day in and day out. And if you know anything about the archives side, we have over 100,000 objects that were given to President Clinton, and it takes a lot of hours to inventory and get all that put in our systems. So we'd like to honor Jenny Pace.
The foundation award actually goes to the person who makes the best chicken pot pie and banana pudding in the world. If any of y'all have had Betty Cook's cooking, you know what I'm talking about. The foundation award goes to Betty Cook.
Congratulations. All right, Tina and Megan, y'all.
Okay, you can read. I'm
Okay.
out of breath.
Okay, we have so many wonderful volunteers who help us in the office. We literally could not keep our heads on straight because of the ringing phone without them. So tonight we would like to congratulate Lavelle Rollins for all her help in the VBS office. There she is.
Thank you all very much. We couldn't do it. We just couldn't do it without y'all. 2 years ago, I think, we started our Bridge Builder Awards. The sharing of joy, whether physical, emotional, psychic, or intellectual, forms a bridge between the sharers, which can be the basis for understanding much of what is not shared between them and lessens the threats of their difference. Our 4 award winners are truly building a bridge that connects our visitors to the history and the excitement of the last 8 years of the 20th century. Their faces and their voices ensure that we always reflect the life and legacy of the 42nd president. Tonight, our 4 Bridge Builder Awards are presented to Marvis Williams, Elizabeth Smith, Marty Dunn, and John Lambie. Okay, I would like to ask Andy Kessel to come up with me, please, and present a new award. Sure, you can read it. You can read it.
You're doing such a good job. In Portugal, docente is a synonym for teacher. In Sweden, the title of docent is an assurance of one's level of expertise. William Arthur Ward once said, "The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires." For one of our volunteers, the title docent means enormously knowledgeable, exceptionally qualified, exceedingly professional, and completely dedicated to continuously improving his work every time he leads a tour. He always prepares for each tour and knows how to make his group immediately at ease with his wit and, yes, dare I say, charm. Sounds like Anne, doesn't it? He will literally stop when he is doing in his real life, what he is doing in his real life, and comes to the center to help us out. He is the best example of a teacher, a docent, a Clinton Center volunteer. It is our honor to present David Williams with our first annual Clinton Center American Presidency Docent of the Year Award. Go ahead, you can read the last part.
Thank you. Thanks. One of the things we're going to do with this award is that next year, the current holder of the title will select the next docent of the year.
No money's accepted.
Yeah, no bribery is allowed. That would not be in the spirit of public service. Okay, I would like to ask Ingrid Seymour, John Joyce, and Betty Schultz to please come up here to help us present our Spirit of the Center Award. The heart of a volunteer is not measured in size, but by the depth of the commitment to make a difference in the lives of others. The Spirit of the Center Award was created to honor the memory of Ken Schultz, a founding volunteer who passed away in 2009. Until a couple of weeks before his death, Ken made the drive from Hot Springs Village to the Clinton Center every Wednesday morning for almost 5 years. I could hear him coming down the hall, not by his footsteps, but by his whistling. Ken never complained, never berated anyone, never had a bad day. We loved Ken, and we miss his spirit every day. Now, each year, we honor 2 volunteers who have brought that same giving heart with them every time they volunteer. They share their joy, their kindness, their love for this center with each and every volunteer and visitor. The spirit of the center, the joy of public service is in their heart. I have asked Betty, who is Ken's widow, Ingrid, and John, who were last year's Spirit of the Center Awards, to help us present the awards to 2 amazing volunteers. They personify the best volunteer spirit, and while each of you do great work, we selected these volunteers to represent our volunteer spirit for the next year. I want to announce the 2012 Spirit of the Center Award winners, Shirley Mahone and Tony Maloney. Lord, we had to bribe Tony to get him here tonight. Thank you, Lori. Now we've come to the really exciting part, our 42 awards. I would like to ask Stephanie Street, the Executive Director of the Clinton Foundation, and Bruce Lindsay, the Chief Executive Officer of the Clinton Foundation, to please come forward and announce our 42 award winners.
The 42 awards are presented to the 42 volunteers who contribute the most hours for the 2012 year. The following volunteers will be honored next spring at the 42 awards reception in the Executive Suite. In 2012 alone, these volunteers contributed a total of 24,689 hours.
And the 42 award winners are Betty Berry, Joy Broach, Carol Burgett, George Campbell, Betty Cook, Carol Core, Pat Edwards, Jesse Gatewood, Bob G., Dennis Hackbart, Margaret Hatchett, Lemoyne Jones, John Joyce, Hank Klein, John Lambie, Louis Leslie, Shirley Mahone, Leon Marks, Connie Mason, Jeannie McDaniel, Brenda McKeever, Tony Maloney, Shirley Montgomery, Pat Oakes, Peggy Oakes, Scott Ogleby, Jenny Pace, Patsy Pack, LaBethel Peters, Bill Pumphrey, Joanne Ray, Jinky Redden, Lavelle Rollins, Andy Schoss, Joe Schmidt, Jean Seymour, Ingrid Seymour, Patsy Sharp, Elizabeth Ann Smith, Pat Solomon, Barbara Spar, Fred Strebeck, David Williams, and Marvis Williams. Congratulations to you all, and thank you. Please stand up so we can recognize you.
Okay, guys. I need to recognize our current Volunteer of the Year, LaBethel Peters. Where is LaBethel? Just like Miss America, she has worn her crown regally and professionally, and you should be very proud of the way she has represented you over the past year. If we could do it again, we would. LaBethel's job, as you know, is to always introduce our special guest, which we're going to do in just a couple of minutes. But I wanted to be ready. So,
it is my greatest honor to present to you our most favorite son and the 42nd President of the United States, President Bill Clinton.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Student. First of all, I want to thank you for another good year. And this has been a special few months here while I was attempting to keep the foundation going and do everything I was supposed to do, and being mildly active in the late election recently. You guys kept the show on the road, and we had an unusually active few months, as all of you know, because we hosted all the ambassadors here as part of the program Hillary started to show all of our ambassadors America. And I must say, since they were all here, I have gotten a huge number of letters from ambassadors from every part of the world saying that they love these tours around America, but they especially liked Arkansas. They love being here at the library. They love the way the volunteers treated them. They felt like they were at home. And they felt that they understood our country a lot better than they did before they came here. So you should feel good about that. We also have an event at the end of the year every year for our library trustees, our foundation trustees, people that give us a lot of money without which I couldn't do any of these things the foundation does around the world. And one of them suggested a year or so ago that we ought to have a meeting here. We always had it in New York because it was easy for them in a busy holiday season to come there. But they were elated. They loved the library, they loved you guys, and they were impressed that the governor's mansion had a bigger dining room than any place they came from. And I had to confess that Governor Huckabee got it, and it would have taken a Republican. If a Democrat had tried to do that, we'd all been run out of Dodge. But that was really great. And of course, we just wound up with the Club of Madrid, which I must say was Jerry Jones' idea. He wanted them to come here. And I didn't know if we could get a large number of them to come here because they come from a long way away, and a lot of them are older, and it's strain enough on them to fly to, you know, some big airport that they can take a direct flight from wherever they're from. But they also liked it. I got a lot of feedback. More than half the former presidents and prime ministers who are here were people that I actually served with for some period of time and know quite well. And the head of it this year, Wim Kok, was the prime minister of the Netherlands in the 90s. We served together. And in the 80s, he was the labor leader in the Netherlands that actually saved the labor movement and saved the modern economy of the Netherlands by agreeing to flexible work schedules, part-time workers, The Netherlands now has the largest number of people in the country who work part-time. And the deal they made was they would be more flexible in working part-time so they didn't have to have as many people laid off. They kept the overall unemployment rate lower, and all they asked was that they got to keep their health care coverage and they didn't lose their investment in their retirement plan. And the vacation rules and all that stayed the same. But it changed the whole face of the country. They have the most flexible workforce of any advanced country in the world now. And they did it in a way that kept unemployment low, growth high. So he did that, and then when he became the leader of the Netherlands, they reorganized their economy further to make it more competitive. And when he was sitting down here, we had dinner together last night, and we've been friends for 20 years now, and he said, "I get it now." I said, "What?" He said, "I could never figure out how you got America to depart from its profligate ways and run a balanced budget and have all those surplus budgets. And I get it now. It's because you grew up here, isn't it?" He said, "It's the way I grew up." He said, "You know, where we grew up, you didn't have to be crazy with money to be a progressive. Where we grew up, we thought that balancing books was a good thing to do and help more people to have solid families, good jobs, and a good future." And it's a great compliment to all of you and to our state. He just figured that out, just keeping his eyes open, talking to people, listening, and you should be very proud of that. So I thank you. All of you know this place wouldn't run without the volunteers. We'd literally have to shut down if we had no volunteers. And so I'm more grateful than I can say. You have now contributed since we opened through October. We don't have the last 2 months of the year. Almost 376,000 hours. And that's worth $1.3 million of in-kind services just for 2012. And an 8-year total of more than $8 million that you have given to this enterprise, and I thank you for that. You volunteered more than 59,000 hours this year, and I'm grateful. So tonight we have 2 awards. First, a Lifetime Achievement Award to George Campbell, which a lot of you know about. George, last August, reached his 10,000th hour of service. And I've known him for a long time, since before I was an ex-president and before he was holding the library up on his shoulders. And today I went down to the gift shop to see what they'd picked up for this year, and so I could make my contribution to balancing its books. And this year we gave all of our donors and major partners on projects around the country a copy of the 2012 speech book, which is an interesting book because it has remarks at the opening of the Franklin Roosevelt Park, which is in New York City on the water overlooking the UN, which Roosevelt conceived, and it was brought into being by Harry Truman after he died. But there is my remarks there which go through the history of that, and it took 40 years to build that park, which is a great tribute to tenacity. And one of our foundation's biggest donors, Fred Eichner, who's from Chicago, gave the $10 million necessary to do all the planning to keep the project from dying 20 years ago. And it just kept going, but it would have died without one person. He's a remarkable man who sold his media mini empire for several $100 million to News Corp, which is the group company that owns Fox News. And the first thing he did was say, I'm going to be one of your biggest donors. It's my atonement for making all that money from those people. He said, I think it will balance the scale somehow. But anyway, that's in there. And there are brief remarks that I made 15 years ago in Grand Forks, North Dakota, after they had that horrible flood. You all remember that, which also caused a fire which burned the town down. And I went back. You wouldn't believe how beautiful this town is now. They preserved all the old buildings, remodeled them, built new ones, and done what they needed to do to protect themselves from future floods. And it was a very interesting thing because North Dakota is one of the most Republican states in America. But they liked it that everybody did what they were supposed to do, including the national government, after the town was decimated through no fault of their own. And it was unbelievable to be in a place when the national campaigns and the local campaigns were already well underway, where people still believed that there were some things that were worth putting party politics aside for, to do something good. So I put the speech in there just to remind people that no matter how much we might like to forget it, we are still one country. If you look at all the advances in human rights in the last 30 years, in civil rights, women's rights, gay rights, our only remaining bigotry is that none of us want to be around anybody we disagree with. And we need to get over that. And that's one of the things that I hope people get out of coming to this library. Believe it or not, I had a long talk with Newt Gingrich today. And I was trying to get him to support the last offer that President Obama has made on this budget deal. It's a very, I think, balanced offer. We're very close to an agreement that I think would be very good for the country. And we were laughing because he said, you know, we Republicans had a big interest in sanitizing history in the primary. We talked about how great Bill Clinton was to work with, and he says, we nearly killed each other, didn't we? And I said, yeah, but we did make a deal. He said, yeah, that's the thing. And he said, we need to again. And that's the sort of thing I hope is coming back into this country. After this horrible, horrible incident in Connecticut, which broke everybody's heart, there seem to be people willing to talk to each other about what we should do. And, I think the assault weapons ban should be reinstituted and modernized, and the background check should be better. And Joe Manchin, the Democratic senator and former governor from West Virginia, who has a 100% voting record with the NRA, changed the whole national conversation when he said we had to re-examine these things. But I will also tell you that the countries, nobody has anything like the level of gun ownership we have. But interestingly enough, Switzerland has a very high rate of gun ownership, and Israel does. And in Israel, because of the security concerns, you frequently see people walking the streets with guns who were, as long as they can do that legally as long as they were in the defense forces and have been properly trained and approved. And they never have these kinds of non-political mass shootings. And the same thing in Norway. They had that horrible incident last year. Do you remember that? But they have a huge hunting culture. Nearly every family's got a rifle at home, and it's the only one they've ever had. So they treated it like a natural disaster, like it's a totally terrible thing that happened. So this British guy who's made a career out of studying this said that it happened, he believed, in America and didn't happen in these other countries with high rates of hunters and gun ownership because they were smaller and they had more coherent societies. And when some kid was in trouble, like this Lanza kid was obviously in trouble for a long, long time, it was inconceivable that someone like that would go more than a month or two without the whole community intervening and getting him mental health treatment or putting him somewhere else, doing something that showed that basically the kind of small town values that a lot of us were raised with who aren't so young were alive and well in the country as a whole. The point I'm trying to make about that is that I have watched the mental health system in this country be virtually decimated over the last 30 years, and I tried to reverse it. I tried to support community mental health centers when I was governor, attorney general, even before when I was a young lawyer, and the deinstitutionalization movement swept America. I still think on balance, it was a good thing. There were too many people locked up for life that had no business being locked up for life. But the pendulum swung too far the other way. Only the community mental health centers were in the breach. And then when I was president, I signed a bill to try to give parity between mental health coverage and other health coverage and insurance policies. But it was never really practically possible to do until now, when everybody will be able to afford insurance and the parity requirement was not abandoned. We may be able to get there. And so I hope that whatever happens out of this horrible incident, that people will look, the Brady bill, the background checks, they ought to apply to gun shows and internet sales. And I think the assault weapons ban should be reinstituted, but it won't be enough. There's already 200 million guns out there, unless we do something to try to identify people who are troubled and who are completely isolated. There are a larger number of people who are completely isolated from community contacts. Look at the way you all feel tonight. You're part of this group. One of you gets sick, within 48 hours, everybody will know about it, right? One of your kids gets in trouble or has a heartbreaking accident, you'll all know about it. And I read this story yesterday about this Lanza kid, and I got physically ill thinking about all of his classmates saying that he went through school for years, never lifted his head, always walked around with his books in his satchel with his head down, never talked to anybody. That even in a small town that thought they were doing a good thing, we got to have mental health services that intervene earlier than that, and we got to take the stigma out of it. We've got to make people not ashamed to identify and ask for help. Any person who's ever been alive long enough and had anything approaching a normal life has had some bad days, bad weeks, bad months, sometimes bad years. We've got to figure out how to do that. So the thing that all these people like who come to the library is you make them feel like they're at home. They feel like they're a part of a community. That is a deep longing normal people have. And when you see these people act out rage of whatever reason, it's almost always because they feel like they've been pushed outside of everybody and everything. And it may be wrong and it's right. It certainly doesn't justify what they did. But we can reduce these problems if we have both the proper protections of the law, but also have an outreach and mental health system that really works. And because being a part of a community where cooperation is better than conflict works everywhere in the world, and it works in this library, and you make it work. And so I want George Campbell to come up here for making it work for 10,000 hours. Today he was loading the last 600 of those deals to our donors, which makes it possible for me to work. So give him a big hand.
I'll go way back with you.
A long time. Thank you. George was laughing in his face and said, you know, we go way, way back, which we do. which means, you know, when people ask him why he does this, he has no excuse. He should know better. We've been friends for 30 years. The winner of the Volunteer of the Year is Fred Strebeck. And give him a hand. Come on up. Now, Fred has contributed more than 3,000 hours lifetime and has been among the top donors of his time this year. 619 hours, 2 days a week. And the main thing I like is that he'll work anywhere and do anything. And a lot of you see him walking around the grounds picking up stray litter. Now, I like that. When I'm here, I pick up stray litter. And today, I got out and took a walk, and I didn't see any stray litter, including in Bill Clark's little wetlands area, where the first time I went, there was a bunch of it. And that's important. I remember the first time I realized that Rwanda was going to escape the worst scars of the genocide was when the president said that once a month, every adult would spend one Saturday cleaning the streets. Because he said people associate sloppiness with poverty, with ignorance, with incapacity. He said, it is not a disgrace to be poor. It is a disgrace to leave the streets dirty. And if you land today in Rwanda at the airport and you drive into town, you will see the streets are completely clean. You could swear you just sit down anywhere and have a meal on the street. And I felt that today out there, how clean it was, how neat it was. And it says something about what we believe about the mission of this place and the importance of it. So I am very grateful. And I also want to thank him for setting up the lending library for volunteers, which was a brilliant thing. You know, before you know it, only people with gray hair will have books. Everybody else will have an iPad or a Kindle or a Nook or whatever all those things are. And I actually got one of those Kindles. Someone gave me one, and my son-in-law piped me in a bunch of books, and I've tried to read a few on it. But I'm just old-fashioned. I still like to hold the book, which is insane. I was trying to think about how much money I could save if I never had to build another bookshelf. Which is a long-winded way of saying, Fred, that I will donate some books to your lending library. Which will make Hillary happy because she's always saying that I'm the neatest person she's ever known who's a total sloppy pig when it comes to books because you can't walk around our house without stumbling over them, and we need the space. So I hope you enjoy that. And just know we're all grateful to you for what you've done. Congratulations.
Thank
you. Remember, in the past, all these times people got something when they shouldn't get it. You know when those things occurred. Well, everything I've done is because Ann had the idea. That's the truth. That's the real truth. This time, during the holidays and in the time of lights and Christmas, I think our real gift is President Clinton. Thank you. Just look at what has happened to our city and our state. We're now an international destination. And I know all of you share with me how exciting it is to be a part of something like that. I have to thank my mom. She showed me how to take what other people have discarded and make something valuable out of it. Now that's a talent. I'm not going to give you a plug. I'm sorry. Anyway, thank you so much. I'm honored. It's a pleasure, but it's really a pleasure just to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I want to thank LaBethel, our honoree last year, for bringing me up, and thank you, Ann Camps, for a lifetime of friendship and for the work you do here to hurt all of our cats. And I want to tell you something about your mom. She's way ahead of her time, because I'll make you a prediction. I think one of the fastest growing movements in America and in the world will be this whole recycling movement. All over the world where I work in climate change, big cities are trying to close down their landfills, which are eyesores, which emit all this methane gas, which is a greenhouse gas more powerful than carbon, by recycling their plastic, metal, glass, and all the organic materials into fertilizer for farmers, and then compacting the rest and either using it directly to generate power or pulling off the methane to burn safely to generate power. In New Orleans, after the earthquake, after the hurricane, we had a project that the actor Brad Pitt funded, but it was run by a great architect named Bill McDonough, who had this international architectural competition for people who could come in and rebuild affordable houses for lower income working people in the lower Ninth Ward that were hurricane resistant and earthquake resistant. And about 4 years ago, and we built, 200 or 300 houses, but I'm going to try to build a lot more than that in New York and New Jersey after Sandy. But they had to be hurricane and flood resistant. So we brought one of the people who lived in the house, a single mother working for a living with 2 school-age kids. She was in a house, she was making a mortgage payment on this house too. The house was not given to her. It was elevated and had deeper pilings to hold it and to protect it against floods. And there were lots of recycled materials in the house. People made fun of us when we started building things with recycled materials. Go over to Heifer, their bathrooms are built with recycled materials. And Louisiana, we had the CGI in September. She had gotten her July electric bill, but not her August electric bill. July 2008, as I remember, is when we did this. Might have been 9. Was the hottest month ever recorded in Louisiana, and her electric bill was $27. Because of the way the house was constructed, and she made the mortgage payment every month, and it cost her less because of the intelligent use of recycled materials. There's now a whole business enterprise being built to benefit women in the developing world, using clothes, not just giving clothes and then handing them out to people who need it, but actually taking apart the materials and constructing whole new designs so that people feel they have new clothes, not somebody's hand-me-downs, and using clever designs to use old materials, and they're making money like crazy for people who need it. So, just like most everybody else in the world, you should listen to your mother. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.
If y'all will make yourself at home in the reception, we will have entertainment upstairs, on the second floor. Downstairs, we have food, we have drink, we have gifts. Make sure you pick your gifts up before you leave. Thank you all so much. Happy holidays. And Wednesday crew, I'll see you tomorrow.